Hi everyone, hope everyone's having a good time at the event. I know I've learned a ton from the other speakers here. So by ways of quick introduction, my name is Sahana. I'm an account manager at Mixpanel, and what I do at Mixpanel is really work with companies across Southeast Asia to help them understand what they can do with their data and how they can use it to build better products and better customer experiences for their users. So today what I'm going to share with you is how can you actually use data in like this modern era to optimize your customer experience, especially in the realm of product and marketing improvements. So a little bit about Mixpanel. If everyone's not familiar with what we do, we're actually a product and event analytics tool, and we've been in this space since 2009. And we've grown significantly since then with offices all across the globe. I'm personally from our Singapore office, which serves as our APAC hub. What we're really proud though is at this point we are powering over 250,000 apps and websites across the globe, working with over 7,000 customers. And we've recently gotten our Series C funding as well, which has really allowed us to push the boundaries of product analytics and venture into marketing analytics as well, and really sort of shape where this industry is going. Now, you're probably familiar with most of the brands up here. Over the last decade, we've had the opportunity to work with some amazing brands globally and here locally in APAC as well. I know I rely on a ton of these brands day to day in my life. I think I spend every single day on Zalora, and I'm checking out ChatGPT with OpenAI. So a lot of these brands are essential to our everyday lives, and how they make themselves better is by analytics, and Mixpanel powers all of that. So like I said, Mixpanel is a product analytics tool, right? So what is the problem that we are trying to solve for our customers? So a little bit of background. Nowadays, right, companies have mountains and mountains of data that they're sitting on that they've collected from their apps on all sorts of devices, right? From their mobile apps, to websites, to tablets, to smart devices, for example. But the true problem is it's really hard to A, access the data very easily, and B, actually make sense of it without the right infrastructure in place. So that is where a lot of companies struggle, and even tech giants like Uber, Expedia, Yelp, Indeed, CNN, for example, all of them struggle with the same thing, which is what they've looked into Mixpanel and self-serve product analytics for. So the fact is, most of the teams are just blocked from getting access from data. Typically, what most companies have is a huge team and a very small data team to actually support all of the teams that rely on this data, right? From product to growth to marketing. So what happens is that everyone reaches out to the data team asking hundreds of questions, and the analyst queue gets longer and longer. Usually it takes more than 10 days for people's questions to be answered. And that fundamentally stems from the fact that even a simple funnel query can take over 15 hours in SQL to perfect. So that is really the core challenge that we're trying to solve here. We found out through a survey that over 50% of teams actually don't feel confident in the decisions they are making because the data they rely on is simply limited, outdated, or they're just relying on guesses, right? Because they have to keep up with the competition, and if they don't make decisions quickly, they're going to suffer. But then again, if you make decisions with wrong data or guesses, there's another element of risk to that. So most companies actually try to solve this to two very common approaches. One is by implementing marketing analytics tools. So probably every one of you here in your company, you're using something like Google Analytics, right? Because it's free. And most people start out their journey here. Now, these tools are great at answering marketing-specific questions. Things like, hey, where's my traffic coming from? What channel should I focus on? these kind of things. But in today's age, where the customers are so empowered, the real challenge is, how do we actually keep these customers, right? How do we retain them in the long run and increase their customer lifetime value and avoid them from going to the competition? Now, how you do that is really by focusing on the engagement and retention piece of the customer journey. And to understand that, you really need to know how a user behaves. And that is where product analytics comes into play. So let's actually take Google Analytics as an example. I was actually just working with a customer last week who was using Google Analytics, and they came to us because of two specific reasons. A, the data that they had was simply not reliable, mainly due to the delays. So in Google Analytics, they actually saw up to 48 hours of delay, and this company was in the e-commerce space, super competitive. They couldn't be relying on outdated data when their competitors have real-time data, right? The second thing is the depth of analysis. So when they were trying to figure out, hey, why do people don't actually convert in my purchase funnel? Like, what is broken there? Where are users actually going if they're not checking out? Those type of questions were very difficult to answer in Google Analytics. So what they have been trying to do is they've actually purchased BigQuery, which is a SQL tool to solve that. But that is a very costly tool, and also there's a technical expertise angle to it, right? You need to know SQL to be able to use that effectively. So that, again, defeats the purpose of having your product, your growth, your marketing teams being able to answer questions really quickly and on their own. So initially when they thought, hey, let's use a free solution, in the end they ended up spending a lot of money, and so they were looking at alternative solutions, and that's why we're talking to them right now. So here are just some quick examples of what marketing tools struggle to answer, but you can answer very easily in Mixpanel. So for marketing teams, for example, out of all our marketing channels, which users have affinity to open emails most frequently or SMSs most frequently, and how can we retarget them? What are they interested in? Those kind of questions for marketing teams. For product teams, it's more things like, hey, from our new users versus our power users, how do they behave differently? How can we get these new users to behave like our power users? And we can answer all of those questions through things like user path analysis and conversion analysis. We actually will go through a demo later, so I can show you how that all works. And as we were discussing, the other option people usually rely on is either building an in-house solution or relying on business intelligence and tools like BigQuery, Power BI, Tableau, for example. So that stems to our original problem where you need technical expertise and data is sort of blocked off from the rest of the team that may not have the expertise to quickly answer questions. So in this case, data teams are also swamped and they can't focus on high-value projects, right? And they end up spending most of the time answering simple questions. So there's a two-pronged problem in this case for both non-technical teams and technical teams. So that's really where Mixpanel comes into place to try and bridge this gap. So what we are trying to do and what we fundamentally believe is putting the power of data into every single person's hand. No matter if you're an intern all the way up to the CEO, you should be able to go into Mixpanel and have your questions answered in a few clicks and not wait days or have the technical expertise needed to write SQL. In fact, Mixpanel, we answer over 1 million questions every single day. So there are a lot of questions out there that need to get answered, and you need the access to do it. Now, how Mixpanel does this is by helping you build this questioning sort of flywheel and product iteration process. So A, you need to be able to go into your platform and ask questions, right? Like, who are my power users? What are they doing? What's the most popular day people come to our platform? Simple questions. But then you need to be able to explore that trend deeper, comparing, does this change if we look at different angles? Does it change for people from different countries, different geographies? Does it change based on which marketing channel they came in from? From there, you need to be able to collaborate with your team and actually make changes in your product, right? Experiment and try new things. And then you need to be able to measure that, see how it compares to what you did before, learn and reiterate. So it becomes this sort of process where you need to go around and around and around to innovate and get better as a company. Essentially, the faster you do this, the more you're going to get ahead of your competition. Now, after getting feedback from our customers, especially with the recent sunsetting of Universal Analytics by Google, a lot of people were looking for an alternative, right, in terms of marketing analytics. And what Mixpanel has been focused on for the last few months is actually building that piece right into the tool. So marketing teams and product teams can really start working extremely closely together so they can see impact from any sort of marketing spend that they're having really quickly. So previously, Mixpanel has always been able to answer this part of the funnel from acquisition, engagement, and retention. More sort of in-app behavior. But in the last couple of months, we've launched marketing analytics, which answers things around awareness and intent as well. So now you have a one-stop shop to answer your entire user journey and figure out how to improve. Now we do this through a mixture of a few things, but primarily it's these three things. Being able to answer what my ad spend data looks like and how does it affect my user journey. Being able to answer things around website performance, your session rate, your bounce rates, things like that. And C, most interestingly, I think, is multi-touch attribution. So being able to really attribute all of your results across all of the marketing channels that you run, so you know how to optimize your spend and you're making sure that wherever you spend your marketing budget, it's going to get better and better as you move on. So right now, Mixpanel is that place that you can get really a holistic look into analytics for your entire digital experience. So for marketing teams, you can answer things like, what touch points are driving signups, whereas for product teams, you can really understand if marketing does something differently, how does that really impact bottom of the line for us. For example, Uber in this case, what they actually did was they connected their website journey with their app journey so they could get one singular view into what their user was doing, how they were moving across their different apps, and they were able to optimize their initial touch points with the customer so that it affected end of the line retention and long-time customer value. So this is kind of the benefit of getting different teams to work together, right? You will find synergies and opportunities that you wouldn't find if data was siloed and analytics was siloed. Now the other element of analytics, right? Analytics is it's just one piece of the puzzle when it comes to building your tech stack for improving customer experience. So what Mixpanel really focuses on is the best of breed approach that we've been talking about a few times today. So it's really about working with other tech platforms that are the best in what they do as well. So that is the whole idea of building a modern data stack. And of course, today, a big element of that is the privacy compliance piece, right? And Mixpanel, since we operate globally, we have had a lot of experience in this space. Given, I'm sure all of you know, like in Europe, GDPR is a huge thing, right? So we've had a lot of experience, and Mixpanel takes this extremely seriously. We've actually built our platform from the ground up to make sure it is in compliance with best practices and kind of laws in all of these different geographies. We do that through a whole sort of, through various ways. For example, in-app features around user access controls, features like being able to anonymize data that you send into the tool. So all of these different things play a part in making sure that you're compliant with all of these laws. In fact, if you look at this little piece here, those are kind of all of the laws that you're compliant with right now. Now back to the modern data stack. So when you're building a modern data stack, you'll probably end up looking something like this. So for example, let's say you're a stock trading app. You probably have a CDP in place, something like mParticle, where you're collecting all your user data, and then you'll probably push that into Mixpanel to understand things like, hey, what are some interesting user segments? How's my conversion doing? How's my retention doing? And then you'll probably push that data into all of these other tools, like your engagement tool. So maybe you can retarget drop-offs and improve conversion for marketing. So the idea here is to make sure all of these tools talk together very easily. And the great thing is most of these tools we have native integrations with. So it's really a matter of a few clicks and you can get up and going with building your modern data stack. So that's a little bit more about building infrastructure. But now let's talk about a use case, right? I want to focus on the financial and financial services industry. We work with a whole bunch of brands in this area. For example, like Citi, Personal Capital, American Express, and so on. But I specifically wanted to focus on one case study that we have with Personal Capital. So they are a wealth management platform based out of the US, but they have an interesting use case that I've seen come up again and again and again when I speak to fintech customers in APAC. And that is around improving their onboarding conversions. So a lot of friction points in fintech, I know it's around that registration process, that KYC process, and the onboarding process. And what Personal Capital was able to do, right, is actually reduce their reiteration time from 1 week all the way down to 1 to 2 days. So they could test 5, 6 different things in the span of what they could previously just test one thing and really improve the conversions in that area. So in this case, they increased onboarding conversions and signups as well. So it boils down back to the piece of the ease of being able to answer questions and the speed at which you can do it. The faster you do it, the more you innovate, the more results you're going to see. Now I actually want to jump into the tool, show you a little bit more about Mixpanel itself. I have my colleague Aya helping me from the side, so give us a second. Okay, perfect. So this is Mixpanel. I really wanted to show you how easy it is to use so that you can sign up right after this and play around with Mixpanel itself. So what you're seeing here is the dashboard, right? It's the end result of building all of the reports in Mixpanel. So if you scroll down a bit, you can see all of the different chart types and questions that Mixpanel answers. In this context, it's for marketing KPIs. But in terms of building one of these reports, super simple. Let's actually jump into it. Let's go into the Insights report. So the Insights report is where you go to answer things like what's happening in your data, what trends are you seeing, and how can we slice and dice to get more actionable insights from it. So in this case, let's look at ad data. So what Mixpanel is doing here, we are actually pulling in ad data from all of the networks that you might be using, Google ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, for example. And we can actually view a lot of data from that. So if we were to go to aggregate properties and sum, you can start to see that we're pulling in click data, cost data, network data, impression data, for example. Things that you're probably going into Google Ads platform or Facebook Ads platform to understand right now. So in this case, we're consolidating it. So let's look at cost. What Mixpanel is showing you here is the sum of the cost for every single day in the past 30 days of ad spend. Now we can actually layer this with product data. So let's look at how this is affecting purchases, for example. Now you can layer top of the funnel marketing data with bottom of the funnel conversion data. In this case, you're probably saying, okay, we are spending quite a lot in the latter half of the month, but it looks like conversions is not trending up. So in this case, there might be something you need to investigate, something you need to experiment with and try to fix this trend. Not only can you layer it with product data, you can also answer more marketing-focused KPIs that you might be looking at, right? For example, cost per click. It's a very popular one. So if we were to just duplicate, we would look at the sum again. And let's look at clicks this time. Now we have a little formula piece there, which is super, super simple to use. So we were to just do A over B. And there you go. That is the CPC for the month. And you can also compare this, right? Since we are ingesting data from all of your ad networks, you have one place to compare how your CPC is performing. Let's break this down by the networks. All right, and you can also visualize this in any way you want. Let's say a bar chart, or maybe if you're coming from the world of Google Analytics, maybe a table is more familiar to you guys. So again, in a few clicks, I'm answering things that you might need to write SQL for. Now, Mixpanel doesn't stop here. This is just some marketing KPIs that you might be tracking. We actually go much deeper into individual user behavior analysis. Let's actually jump into the funnels report for that. Right, let's build a simple funnels report. This is a stock trading app. So let's do view stock. All right. All right, then let's do, we'll probably select the stock. Then you'll want to start the trade and then probably confirm the trade. Very, very simple 4-step funnel. Now you've probably seen a funnel report like this in many, many other tools, but Mixpanel gives you the power to go deeper. That's the whole theme around the analytics that we offer. So let's say we want to change the conversion criteria and look at it in a one-day window, because we don't want our users to take 30 days to do a simple trade, right? Just want to look at them in one day, for example. Now we can actually see, does any element that's related to marketing or related to product affect conversion? Let's break this down by UTM source. That will tell us, depending on what marketing channel we acquire users from, does their conversion behavior change? So now you're comparing things like how Google Ads, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, or organic traffic differs in terms of their conversion. Not only that, you can also drill deep into the individual user level. So let's close this off to make it simple. And let's look at the drop-offs between selecting a stock and not starting a trade. So if you were to actually click into that block there, you can actually view who these users are. So now you can see there are 150 users who dropped off, and you can see all of their details. Of course, if you're in the fintech space, you might want to hash this value so you can't identify them, but the idea is still the same. And you can simply export this via CSV and use it any way you like, or leverage Mixpanel's cohort feature, which creates an automatic grouping for you. So if we were to click that, you can look at the drop-offs at this step, and you can build a cohort of drop-offs in my stock trading funnel. And then what you can do with this, not only can you analyze it further in Mixpanel, but since we're working with best of breed, we can actually integrate directly with best of breed tools in engagement space, for example. Automatically send this cohort across and run a re-engagement campaign. Or put this into Google Ads or Facebook Ads and build a lookalike audience. Idea is to remove manual work make it super easy for you to pass data across to your other teams, the other apps you might use, and take action to improve conversion. So that is how you can look at user-level data and improve marketing analytics and product analytics, and not just stop at a sampled analysis. So that's Mixpanel. That's how simple it is to use. I hope it gave you a sneak peek on how you could try out the tool as well. We actually have a couple of QR codes that you can take a picture of or scan right away, where you can test out the tool for free. There are sample data sets like a financial services one, an e-commerce one for you to try out. Also, if you're a startup or if you know any early stage startups, we do have a startup program that offers $50,000 in credits, so you can use Mixpanel for free for a whole year. So if that's something you want to leverage, feel free to reach out to me and I can help take you through the tool and how the program works as well. But yeah, that is pretty much Mixpanel and how self-serve product analytics can help you build a better customer experience and digital product.